So tell me about that card, that picture frame.
Oh, that's a card your daddy picked out for me years ago. And I don't know why he did them. I think he even addressed it and everything.
Oh.
Y'all were little, and he picked that card out for me and addressed it and sent it to me at Christmas. Which one of y'all would have been little at Christmas?
Both of us. I mean, what year? I was born first.
Yeah, I know that.
I was born first, and then Lauren came along.
Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, that's the card that your daddy picked out and sent to me, and I thought it was so nice because Mama was too busy having babies to do anything.
Yeah, she was busy.
Yeah, that's from your family. What family you had.
So what do you...
Lots of good memories of when you were a little teeny thing. I got you a pair of boots because it was a little snow. And we put them on you and put you out on the... Oh, well, you slept in them, I think. But anyway, they were little red rubber boots, and we put you out in the snow. It was just a little bit. It wasn't much. And you just cried because you was getting them dirty. He didn't want to get your boots dirty. They were just little red rubber boots to put on to keep you dry.
That's funny.
So we had to bring you back in to take a picture because you wouldn't smile at all. You'd get my boots getting dirty. In the snow. It was snow out there. Your daddy always made the brick patios out back, you know. And we set you out there for a minute. And I have a picture somewhere of Vicky pulling you on a sled in my front yard. But Penny dumped all my pictures in a big old plastic thing. She said, we'll get to those later, and it's been 3 years and we haven't got to them yet. She just dumped everything I had pictures in one place. Oh, don't show her that. We were trying to get the door to shut, I guess. I don't know, on the closet so we could straighten up a little bit.
That's funny.
Yeah. Look, get my dad, most all of my orchids are dead now. See those at the top?
We'll have to get you some more.
Yeah. We don't dump them. We don't try to.
Yeah.
If they require too much attention all through the year to get them to bloom again. So we always just pick up another pot of.
Tell me about how you met Peepaw.
How did I meet Peepaw? I had been to New Jersey. Penny had Butch Faree, her youngest son. And I had been up to New Jersey and kept Sonny, her older boy, who was two years old, while she was in the hospital with Butch. And I really learned how to be a bomber from that. And changing his diaper and didn't know I had to have it ready to put right under him. And he kind of wet my face a little and everything. Do you want that in there?
It's fine.
He did.
It's fine.
No. Yeah. I had no experience with boys well, I had no experience with children at that time because I wasn't married. I used to go up and visit. Roy was doing his fellowship at Rutgers University. And I would go up and visit, and that's where her oldest son, Sonny, was born up there. In Jersey, New Jersey, Fort Monmouth. And we'd wash his diapers, and I went out when I was up there at Armistice Day, or November the 11th. It used to be called Armistice Day when I was little. I don't know what it's called now. It's not called that. But that's when the World War I was over and they signed the independence, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I was up there and all the bells were ringing, and I went out to hang diapers on the line, and they froze us up before I could put the clothespins in them.
Oh my goodness.
It was so cold. They were in New Jersey because he was at Rutgers University at that time. So I've been around doing a little bit. I sort of knew how to take care of children when I got my own.
Mm-hmm. So how did you meet Peepaw?
Had I meet him?
Mm-hmm.
I had been up staying with my sister, helping with her children, visiting her, and I was on the train going back home, and this young soldier got on the train, and he said, the conductor told me there's a troop car at the back, but there's one seat by a blonde on this car. The train was full, but we got for troops on the back, you know. He said, I'll take the one that's vacant up here, and it was by me. And I had my books, and I had everything all over in that seat open. Nobody would come and take it. And he got on, and I was reading a book. I read all the time. I wish I remembered what book I was reading. But anyway, he offered me, had candy, bars of candy in his pocket. And he offered me candy, and I said, no thank you, I just came from the dining car. I had really eaten my supper on the train. And so he said, well, I'm going to put it over here in the window. If you want it later, you can have it. I was sitting to the window, so he reached over and put it on the window in front of me. And then, I don't know what time it was. We didn't get into Spartanburg. That's where he was going to Camp Croft in Spartanburg, and I lived there. We got in there at 2 o'clock in the morning, but anyway, he nearly smothered me before we got there. I woke up and I was so hot I was just burning up because the heat came up on the train right by me, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And he had taken his wool jacket off, army jacket, and put it over me to cover me up. And I was so hot I was just about to burn up. And I looked, and the candy was gone out of the window. And he got hungry during the night and reached over and got it and ate it himself. That's how I met him.
Aww.
Then when train came into Spartanburg, we got in at about 2 o'clock in the morning. He got a cab for us, and he and I sat in the front seat. Because the cabs were just loaded as much as wood, but the driver couldn't have but 2 in the front, so we sat in the front seat. And when we got to my house, he said, that's all right, don't bother, I'll take her to the door. And I just met him on the train.
Mm-hmm.
And so the cab driver shut his door, and he got out and went to the door with me, and with all that going on, I forgot to pay the cab driver.
Oh.
So the next day I got a call from Camp Croft, that's where he was. He said, you owe me, told me how much the cab fare was. You didn't pay that cab driver last night, did you? And I said, no. He said, no, you better not, because I had to pay it. Just talking, this is ugly, you know. I said, well, I'm so sorry, you know. You went to the door with me, and it just completely slipped my mind. It did. I didn't even think about it. I said, oh, why don't you go to the door with me? And the cab driver got my bag out of the truck and gave it to him, you know.
Uh-huh.
And so that's the way I met him. He was coming to collect his cab fare, and he collected it all his life. Because we got married in August, and that was the first of the summer.
Wow, y'all got married
His mom
quick.
and daddy came down. He wouldn't come home anymore. And they had to come down and see what was keeping him. And his daddy was so cute. He said, you know, I don't blame him. I wouldn't come home and leave you either.
Oh, that's funny.
So we went riding, took them all up into the Blue Ridge Mountains. That weekend that they were down there, Mel and C. Debbie and his mother and daddy and Jimmy and I rode up. They were where we lived. You could see the Blue Ridge Mountains, and it wasn't very far to go up the highway there. I forgot now what it was. Oh, we called it the Asheville Highway because it took us to Asheville. And we had a first cousin that lived in Asheville. We went up a lot of times and spent the night, a week in the summer with him because he lived on the side of a mountain.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it was so beautiful walking up that drive. We could go in the car too, but we would walk down to get the mail, walking up that curb and drive up to the house. You could just see for miles. So,
What do you think is the key to having a long, happy life?
what is the key? Living right, I guess, and loving the Lord. And behaving myself when I could.
When you could. Oh.
Yeah, I guess that's it. I always tried to live a good life. Went to church. I was raised to go to Sunday school in church. I did. I played the piano for the Epworth League when I was in high school. We had our Epworth League is like a BYPU in the Methodist church. I was Methodist until I married Jimmy, and we lived in his town after the war. So I joined the Baptist church. And if we had lived in my town, he said, I'd join your church. But he didn't make me be a Baptist. I just went ahead. I had an uncle that was a Methodist minister. My mother's oldest brother was a Methodist. All of my people were Methodist, and all of my husband's people were Baptists. So I ended up being a Baptist. Didn't make any difference. I was christened when I was a baby, and then I was christened when I joined the church. You know, they sprinkle in the Methodist and Episcopal and different churches sprinkle. And then when I joined the Baptist, they had to dunk me under. But they brought me up alive and screaming. Not really. I remember when you were baptized, you was afraid. You wanted to, but you was afraid to come into the water.
I know, I remember that.
Oh, we had a time. I said that they shouldn't make her say. She thought she wanted to join. You were so little. You weren't even school age, were you?
I was 4.
Huh?
I was 4. I had gotten saved at Vacation Bible School that summer, and then they were doing baptisms, and I thought I wanted to do it, but I guess I don't really remember much about it except for being scared of the water.
Yeah.
So we took care of that a few years later. I said we took care of that a few years later.
Yeah.
When I was a little older.
Yeah. That was something. We all went out to Second Baptist Church. It was up there on the hill where WBTM is now, I guess. Right behind the post office up on that hill.
Mm-hmm.
That's where that church was located, where you were baptized. No, we went to Third Avenue.
Yeah, we went to 3rd Avenue, I think.
Yeah, that's right. So many of the churches way back then didn't have baptistry in the church. You had to go to the river. Man, I'd have never been baptized if they had to take me to the river when I was that young, you know.
Yeah.
I didn't learn to swim until I was in college, and you could take swimming as one of your courses, and I took swimming and never learned to do the crawl. I couldn't get the breathing in my head right, but I could really side stroke. Do the side stroke. Some of us went over to the swimming pool one night, and the night watchman came in, and we got down where he couldn't see us. He'd just come in and shine his light around, and we were scared to death because we were over there in the pool illegally swimming at night. And he didn't come over and circle the pool. He just showed his light, and we were holding to where the water goes out, you know, both over, and we were holding to that and hoping our heads wouldn't show. We did some crazy things, but that's part of life when you're growing up. Yeah, but I could swim. I wasn't worried about drowning. I wouldn't have got in there if I couldn't swim.
Do you remember much about the Great Depression?
No, I remember there was a family that lived in the forks of the road somewhere. I was living in Greer at that time with my relatives, and I remember that they didn't have any food, and my aunt would take food over there. And that's the only way I knew there was a depression. We had plenty. And I was too young to realize the situation really. But it was bad, I'm sure. They had bread lines. I've seen it, movies of it, or seen it on television now, how they had the bread lines for New York and the bigger cities where you couldn't, you know, make a living if they didn't have work. There was nothing to do but concrete up there. But people down south could plant and grow their sweet potatoes. That's one of the most complete, nourishing vegetable you can eat. You can live off of sweet potatoes. I remember, what was the movie that about her, and she was out. It was a war movie. What was it? I've forgotten now. But she was out digging sweet potatoes. And Rhett Butler and
Gone with the Wind?
Yeah, and she took down the velvet draperies and made her dress up. You saw that, didn't you?
I have seen that.
That was so good.
That's a classic.
Yeah. Well.
Any wisdom that you would like to share with your children and grandchildren?
Oh, me, there's nothing like it. My children were wonderful.
Aww.
And my grandchildren were doubly wonderful. Jimmy wouldn't go home when we passed the street to turn to go by your house and get you. And take you home and let you eat supper with us, and had this little yellow, you may remember the little seat.
I remember the little booster seat.
We'd put it in a chair for you to sit on to eat with us. And you'd get that little seat when it started getting dark. You'd get that little seat and go sit in the front door on that little seat. Peepaw, it's time to go home. It's getting dark. Peepaw is what you called your granddaddy.
That's right.
And he said, well, we'll go in a minute. It's getting dark, Granddaddy. Peepaw, Peepaw. Who called him Granddaddy? Somebody. But anyway, when it got dark, you were supposed to go home. And we'd sing over the river and through the woods to Grandma's house we go. All the way home, we'd sing that from your house to mine, going across the river. You know, when we'd go over the river and through the woods.
Yeah.
Yeah. Take you home and let Vicky, when Lauren was a baby, and give Vicky a little rest, because Lauren would sleep a lot and you'd just like a live wire. You never did walk. I thought sure your toes were going to be crooked. You flew through that house in that walker with those big toes turned. And I said, you're ruining that child's feet in that walker. Get her out of there. But they didn't ruin them.
No.
Got straight toes.
Well, somewhat
I've
straight.
seen your daddy walking up and down that hall and what street was it, y'all?
Canterbury.
Yeah. Just walking to his baby girls, to patting them to sleep and go put them down.
No.
He was a good daddy.
He is a good daddy.
Still it.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Mm.
He's a real sweet boy.
He is. He's a good papa.
I'm so glad I got them together. Do you know how I got them together?
No.
Vicky had a friend that was going to college in Greensboro.
Mm-hmm.
And she went over to spend the weekend with her. And so when we were supposed to go pick her up on Sunday afternoon, and I said, I believe I'm going to call Daniel Peakway and see if he'll go over there and get Vicky. Because he had sort of, you could tell he liked her. I don't know if they'd ever started dating or not, but anyway, I called him and I asked him would he do me a favor, and he said, yes, ma'am. I said, I wish you'd ride over and pick up Vicky. She's at UNC. She spent the weekend with her friend, Lydia. And he said, oh, I'll be glad to. And so then after that, that's the only boy she ever dated.
Mm-hmm.
So I picked her a good one.
You did.
With two beautiful granddaughters.
Oh, Granny.
Yes, sir. And we'd always say, I love you too much.
Love you too much, Granny.
Yeah. Still do, don't we?
Yep.
Along me, over the bridge and through the woods.
That's right.
We've been over them many times.
Mm-hmm.
But Jimmy didn't like to go home without picking you up. So Lauren was a baby, and it made it a little bit easier for Mama to get supper and all.
Yeah.
Get you out from under her feet. And you'd eat supper with us, and I'd take you home. You didn't bother me. But people had you all the time. Oh, Lord. They loved you, and y'all would sit in that big rocking chair together and watch TV.
No.
And you used to sit in that big rocking chair and rock with me to watch the Braves play baseball.
I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yes, sir. We were Braves fans.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
I remember we used to watch Dale Murphy.
Yeah.
And remember when I found that box turtle at Marion's house in her front yard, and I took it home and I named it Murphy after Dale Murphy? Yeah.
Yeah. I think Margaret's son,
Keith likes.
Keith,
Yeah, he likes
something he named after Dale Murphy.
Oh, yeah.
Murphy, a little dog.
Yeah. That's right.
Uh-huh. Yeah, he was quite a fan.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we've had to get to the end.
Are you ready to go shopping?
Yeah.
All right, Green, let's go shopping.
Okay.
All righty.
It's 10:45.
I know. We'll go.
Bye.
Bye.